Hey guys, welcome back to another live swing trade. I'm re-recording this actually the day after I entered. Something got corrupted with the file, but it hasn't moved at all, so that's no big deal. So essentially what we're looking at here on Beyond Meat is this descending triangle that has happened right through here. Right? And a lot of people will look at these patterns and look for them to resolve in the direction of the trend like this. But there's been pretty good academic studies that I've read about them talking about how when these descending triangles break, if they break on the actual upside, and same with ascending triangles breaking to the downside, there's a much higher statistical probability that they work. So the other thing I'm looking at is that we all know Beyond Meat's story. It opened at a little under $50. I think it was like 45, and then shot up to like $250, and then pretty much all the way back down. So, it's not so much catching a falling knife I'm looking at, but what I'm looking at is that you can see the large candles that took place in the sell originally, followed by these kind of tiny indecision candles that are happening now. That being said, also we have declining volume when we're down here, showing there's a bit of accumulation potentially going on. Then if you look, there's a bottoming tail in through here and in through here and in through here. So showing me at least that there's some accumulation kind of happening in this area. Maybe it is a turning point. Maybe there's some potential institutional investors getting involved, but really not so much our concern. So the trade is long at 200 shares at 77.70. Basically, our stop is kind of right under these lows here. To be honest, I very rarely let a worst case stop happen, so we'll see what happens here pretty soon. But we've got a protective stop in this area. Again, the ideal would be for us to break out here at, about 1 hour or so, which would be about $500. I'll look to take half off the position, move my stop to break even. I know you guys are probably bored of hearing that by now, but I'm going to keep saying it because I really think that kind of risk management is the holy grail of trading. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to take 5 points or so off the table on half, and then this could be something that's crazy. So I may actually be a little bit greedier with those shares if we start getting a move in the direction that I'm looking for. We've got the this kind of short-term MA, which is I just use an 8 EMA. Again, I don't believe there's any magic to it, but we've kind of gotten above that on the daily chart, and on the weekly chart, it is up at about $85. So a little bit less than 10 points away. So a fair amount of room to pop until it's even hit its short-term moving average, and then we've got kind of all the room in the world here. I doubt we'll see anywhere back into the 200s, but if we could get back up to $100 or a little bit over, that would be an amazing trade. But that's just pie in the sky wishing. So let's just take the trade and watch the action and decide from there. Okay, guys, so here we are much later on Beyond Meat. We entered kind of way back, and my initial stop was under this area. You can see that we kind of came down and got very close to it, and I thought this would have just been a stop out trade. And then 2 or 3 days ago, we had a really good day that kind of woke up the market, and then we've had a big strong push up here. So you can see I just sold half of the 200 share position. The risk on this was a little bit over 500, so we'll call it about 700 or so. So I was able to lock in 1650 on half of this trade, so that's 2 times this risk. So again, as with always, this more expensive, more volatile stock, obviously I took less than my normal size, but at the same time, I'm more comfortable splitting it up more. I don't mind taking sub 100 share lots when there's, this much of a movement. The reason for locking in this profit here is it kind of removes all the risk from the trade. This is a cool new feature that Trade Ideas has. And again, if you're interested in Trade Ideas, there's a link that will save you some money down below. But you can actually see if I were to get stopped out at this area, what your profit on that trade or loss would be. Let me show you. I'll just move this and you can see it. You can see it kind of readjust, right? So now that would be a loss of 67 on the other 100 shares, and that'd be a gain of 206. So it's very easy to see kind of what's left in the position, but again, barring any sort of crazy gap down, we've locked in about 2 times, a little over 2 times our risk already in profit, and we have another 2 times our risk here. So the game plan is to take a look here, which again was the reason for my sell, is that we came back up to this area where we had gap down out of, and often people, when they see these gaps get filled, they'll look to take profit on it, so they turn into little areas of support and resistance. So my game plan is just to follow the short-term moving average up here and look for a close below that. Ideally, what we do is we kind of bump our head up against 100, and we take some time to kind of back and fill, and then we take a run through 100. And generally speaking, right, if you break through 100, 120 is usually a pretty decent target after that. But already happy on the trade, and we'll be back the next time I have to touch it.
Hello guys, and welcome back to the final trade here on Beyond Meat. Essentially things just kind of got a bit wacky, so I took out the other half of my shares here for about $4,900. Again, the theory behind this trade, I redrew this descending trend line here. Initially, it kind of looked a little bit more like this. So I was looking for it to break out of this area. It did, and then it kind of coiled back, almost hit our stop, which was going to be in the neighborhood of about $650, just to keep the math that I'm about to do a little easier. And then we broke up from there. So one thing I want to kind of show here, and something I've been studying a bit more, is you've noticed the price was decreasing down through here at the same time the RSI was increasing here as well. So I've been studying these RSI divergence a bit, and they do seem to have some power. I'm going to continue to study them before I make any kind of big decisions from it, but just something to note there. So again, to wrap up Beyond Meat, there's a lot of studies been done about these kind of descending triangles, which again kind of looked like that at the time. Now kind of looks like this, and actually shows that the statistics are better when you get a break, not of, most people will kind of trade a triangle like this, and they'll look for the breakout higher. The statistics show that you're actually better off looking for the break on the other end, so that's kind of what I was doing here. Took out part of the profits here, just like I always do, to cover my risk and, you know, lock in that initial kind of return that makes the risk management easier. Took the rest out here just because of the fact that we're getting really oversold. We've got a good distance from the moving average. Generally speaking, you know, these type of moves has the ability to snap back pretty hard. So what I did is I watched the opening, and we kind of rallied here off the opening and then pulled back down. As we pulled back down, I took the profits, really just put kind of an aggressive stop right on the open after we took that push up. Wanted to give it the chance to kind of go crazy today if it really wanted to, but it kind of quickly reversed and stopped us out. So again, we made about $1,650 on the first half, and then say $4,900 on the second half. Just looking over at my calculator here, apologies, this actually happened while I was traveling, so I'm kind of doing all this on the iPad and in a hotel room, so the setup's not the best, and apologize if the sound may not be the best. And so that kind of equals, call it $6,500, which is a great trade, but more importantly, again, we're risking about $650, give or take. Usually I risk about $500, but just with the fact that I took 200 shares instead of some odd lot, that ended up being what the risk was. So that's about a 10R trade. And this is the number, guys. Whether you're trading yourself or following a trader, this is the number that matters. You know, it's, again, I've said it in another video, but if someone comes to you and says, hey, I made $1,000, depending on what your risk was, changes it dramatically, right? If you made $1,000 but you risked 10,000, that's hard. If you made $1,000 and you risked $100, that's great. That was a great trade. So really, very, very happy about a 10-hour trade. They are rare. They don't happen too much. Again, I usually try to shoot for a 2 or 3 hour. So anytime I can kind of get a 10-hour, I'm happy. But like with any trade, the only thing that matters is what you're going to do next, not what you just did. So I'm going to lock that profit behind. I'm going to go to the meetings that I'm traveling here for business to go to, and then I'm going to sit down and try to find another one. Don't get too sad about the losers and don't get too excited about the winners. Just kind of look for the next one.